I'm just going to quickly have an interview with Brother Emmanuel Opia about the latest book that he's released called The Errors of Pope John Paul II. And so he's just going to quickly talk to us about the book and just give us some more information, really. So thank you for joining us, Brother Emmanuel Opia.
Thank you very much.
And just in a couple of sentences, could you tell us a bit more about the book and why you decided to write this book in the first place?
Okay, at the death of Pope John Paul II, I was discussing with my cousin, Dr. Eric Osai, and we were talking about the papacy of Pope John Paul II, and he said to me, since I know so much about him, why don't I write about him? At that time, I didn't give it a thought, so I just kept quiet. But 2 years passed. At the end of the 2 years after the death of Pope John Paul II, I began nursing the idea of writing about him. But the idea I had in mind was that he was a great man of God. And so I drew my plan, my writing plan, on what to write about him. So as I settled down and about to begin to write, and did the first few lines, the whole thing changed. My thought about him changed, and the Lord revealed to me that it is not all that glitter that is gold, that we may have known about him in the light of being a spokesman for the poor, talking about human rights, forgiveness, and being able to settle disputes without using implements of war. But he actually prostrated in front of the statue of Our Lady of Fatima. This was 1 year after he recovered from his gunshot wound during an assassination attempt in 1981. So that made me to begin to wonder and think about my writing, and so my writing plan changed from what it would have been to what it is now.
Sure, and so what are the underlying themes of the book? And what message are you trying to get across to people then?
Now, the message I'm trying to get across to the people is that it doesn't matter what we are. The Lord sees the inside of us. It is not the outward appearance that the Lord looks at, but the inside of us. Now, for the case of Pope John Paul II, he actually was a great leader. He talked about forgiveness, and he demonstrated this by going to prison to forgive the man who shot him. But he actually prostrated in front of the statue of Our Lady of Fatima. And at the time I saw the documentary on this, I said, oh, how he humbled himself. But little did I know that he was disobeying the third commandment of God, which says, thou shalt not make unto thyself graven images, and thou shalt not bow down thyself to them. And as I researched further into it, in his homily in Guadeloupe, in Mexico, he actually said during the homily that he prostrated himself spiritually to the statue of Our Lady of Guadeloupe. So these, in fact, going through the book, you will see a lot of examples of how great men and women of history or in the Bible have disobeyed God's commandment, and they pay the price for having done that. In fact, one of those ones could be found in 1 Kings 13, the man of God from Judah. He was given specific instructions by God, but he disobeyed this because another man of God or older man of God told him a different thing, and he paid the price. So this book gives an insight into, in fact, starting from Genesis to the book of Revelation, you will see examples. And when I was to write this book, the first chapter of this book is a fiction. And I took that, I wrote that fiction in order to get my setting for the book. And in writing the fiction, I used the message preached by our present pastor during his first visit to this church. He preached about Manasseh, king of Judah, how he brought images into the house of God, and he was punished by that. So I used that to write my first chapter and then get my setting for the whole book.
Okay, and so who is this book aimed at then? Is it just Christians or?
Well, this book, is aimed mostly to the Roman Catholics and to Christians as a whole, because In this book, I talked about other images that are not physical images that you see, but there are other images which we, Christians, have in our places of worship without taking that into consideration as being images.
And how can people get access to the book then?
Now, at the moment, Ingram, the largest book distributor in the world, is handling the distributorship of the book, and you can equally get it from two of my websites, www.imagesin.info, as well as www.imagesinfos.com.
And just a final question, do you have any other books in the pipeline then?
Yes, I have a couple of other books. As, you know, each time I write, at times I write 2 or 3 at the same time. You know.
Okay, sure. So thank you very much for your time, Emmanuel. So again, this is The Errors of Pope John Paul II. You can get the book, so you can get the ebook version of it on www.imagesinfos.com, or you can get the actual book itself on www.imagesin.info. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.